Вітаю всіх, шановні відвідувачі. Вже 6 година, тому ми будемо розпочинати. Мене звуть Анастасія Тичук, я методистка мережі шкіл Green Country та тренерка методичного центру TalkEn.Cloud Academy. І сьогодні я буду з вами на цьому вебінарі. Отже, перш ніж ми розпочнемо, перейдемо до теми нашого вебінару, я хочу обговорити з вами декілька організаційних питань стосовно сертифікату, який ви можете отримати, тесту, а також розповім вам коротесенько про TalkEn.Cloud. Отже, давайте розпочинати. Зараз я відкрию презентацію. Отже, ця зустріч, цей вебінар відбувається за підтримки та організації TalkEn.Cloud. Тому давайте подивимося з вами, що саме таке TalkEn.Cloud та які можливості вона надає для викладачів та репетиторів. Отже, TalkEn.Cloud – це бібліотека інтерактивних підручників, система менеджменту навчального процесу LMS та центр навчання викладачів та бізнес-консалтингу. Давайте подивимось на кожен з цих типу категорій окремо. Отже, розпочнемо з системи менеджменту навчального процесу. Та що ми можемо знайти? Отже, в LMS викладачі можуть створювати профілі учнів, об'єднувати їх у групи та призначати індивідуальні заняття. Також ви можете генерувати розклад своїх занять, продивлятися, коли у вас там заняття, робити якісь примітки, прикріплювати вступні тести для визначення рівня. Також ви можете переглядати свій електронний журнал, виставляти оцінки та моніторити, як виконують завдання ваші учні, тобто скільки відсотків вони виконали, скільки не виконали. Ви маєте доступ до бібліотеки, маєте доступ до підручників, які ви придбали, та швидко можете переходити на онлайн заняття за посиланням. Ось. Якщо ми поговоримо про інтерактивні підручники, які ви можете знайти на TalkEn.Cloud, то бібліотека інтерактивних підручників налічує приблизно 50 інтерактивних цифрових підручників для різних рівнів, починаючи від рівня Pre-A1 та завершуючи рівнем C1 для школярів та дорослих. Тобто теми відрізняються та рівні відрізняються в залежності від віку, від рівня учня. Також в бібліотеці викладачі можуть знайти Teacher's Guide, це деталізовані плани занять до кожного підручника. Тобто, якщо ви, наприклад, придбали якийсь підручник, і в цьому Teacher's Guide ви зможете знайти інформацію стосовно завдання, які будуть підручники, додаткові посилання, додаткові воркшити. Також бібліотека надає можливість викладачеві моніторити прогрес учня у виконанні завдань. Тобто ви можете переглянути, скільки відсотків було виконано. Як я вже сказала, ви можете прикріпляти тести, а також в інтерактивних цифрових підручниках вже додана система тестів. Тобто вам не потрібно перевіряти тести, це все робиться автоматично. Тобто учень виконує тест, і система його перевіряє та надає результат. Окрім підручників, в бібліотеці викладачі також можуть знайти додаткові воркшити, інтерактивні воркшити на різні теми, за різними категоріями. Це можуть бути лексичні воркшити, граматичні воркшити, або просто тематичні воркшити, там, наприклад, про Євробачення, про там, якесь свято тощо. А також викладачі самостійно можуть створювати інтерактивні воркшити на платформі TalkEn.Cloud. Отже, тому, якщо ви давно шукали якусь платформу, де ви можете створювати воркшити, а також де можна використовувати інтерактивний підручник, я раджу вам спробувати платформу TalkEn.Cloud. А тепер перейдемо до організаційних питань стосовно сертифікату. Отже, після завершення цього вебінару вам буде надіслано посилання на тест. Це у випадку, якщо ви хочете отримати сертифікат. Сертифікат є платним, він коштує 100 гривень. Щоб сплатити за сертифікат, вам потрібно відкрити лист на пошті та в цьому листі знайти реквізити, сплатити за сертифікат та надіслати скріншот оплати. Потім, після завершення цього вебінару, вам буде надіслано посилання на статтю та посилання на тест. Для того, щоб отримати сертифікат, вам потрібно скласти тест та отримати 80% правильних відповідей. Але гарна новина полягає в тому, що кількість спроб не обмежена. Тобто ви розпочали тест, але там за певних умов не завершили його, ви можете спробувати ще раз і ще раз. І потім вам буде, як тільки ви отримаєте 80% правильних відповідей, ви зможете отримати сертифікат, вам буде його надіслано. Отже, я сподіваюся, що це зрозуміло. Якщо будуть питання, ви можете писати в чаті. Тому давайте розпочинати. Okay, so, the agenda for today. We are going to talk about personalization and motivation in learning. We will talk about how to make our lessons more personalized, what activities we need to personalize, and how we can personalize them. We will also address different factors that influence student motivation, and I will share some tips on what you can do to motivate your students to learn and how you can provide interesting and engaging lesson. But before we proceed with the topic of today's webinar, I would like us to brainstorm a little bit, and I want you to think about the question that I'm going to ask you. So, my dear colleagues, have you ever wondered why people start learning a language? So just think about it for a few seconds and answer this question to yourself. So there must be plenty of reasons, but the most important, I believe, is that language itself is a tool of communication. And since we're talking about English here, and English is an international language, so it is definitely a tool of communication. And with the help of language, we can convey our thoughts, feelings, and needs to others. Language allows us to share information, exchange ideas, build relationship with people around us. And of course, when we talk about language learning, the process of learning a language, and when our students start learning a language, they start learning it in different forms, in a spoken form, in a written form, and when they do it, they need a reason to do so. Yeah, they need to have an understanding why they need to learn how to write in English, why they need to learn how to speak, why they need to learn this vocabulary, or why they need to learn this grammar. So they need to have a reason and understanding of how they can apply the knowledge that they're about to gain now, later, in future. So in order to provide our students with this reason, we need to ensure that the learning process is interesting and engaging for students. How we can do it? The learning process becomes more interesting and engaging when our students feel motivated enough, when they have this desire to learn, they're interested. And of course, when the activities correlate with their needs and preferences, and as such, students can relate to the topic or content provided in the task. So it leads us to the topic of our webinar. So if we want our students to participate, if we want them to achieve better outcomes and to master language, we need to prompt them, we need to help them, and we need to motivate them and provide personalized activities. So when we talk about personalization, what exactly do we mean? So let's take a look at these questions that you can see on my screen. So why do you think we ask these questions? So, well, the main reason is that we want to learn something about our students. We want to get to know them, and we want our students to share something about themselves. So that is what personalization is about. In language learning, personalization refers to tailoring instruction and materials to meet learners' needs and goals. So it's not only about giving our students the topic that they want, yeah, or creating the tasks that they want. It's about taking any topic and making our students look at this topic from their perspective so that they can understand this topic, they can relate to this topic. So we need somehow to connect the topic with their experience, with their feelings, with their ideas and emotions. So, and in fact, personalization is considered to be an important part of the communicative approach. And you would ask me why? The answer is simple, because when the tasks are personalized, it gives students opportunity to communicate real information about themselves. So they get to speak about what they feel or what they think. So they get to express their feelings, emotions, ideas, and so on. And that's why personalized learning happens when activities allow students to use language to express their own ideas, feelings, and opinions, and when teachers take into account students' needs and strengths and create the activities, plan the instructions in accordance with these needs and strengths and interests. So we have discussed what personalization is, and now let's move on to the reason why we need to make the learning process more personalized. What benefits can it bring? Yeah, what can we gain from making our lessons more personalized? So the first reason is that personalization increases student engagement. Uh, what I mean is that when students see relevance in the task and they can understand how they can apply this knowledge, how this particular topic can be useful in future, yeah, and when they understand they can relate to this topic, they are more likely to be engaged. They are willing to participate, they're willing to be involved into the learning process. So it is especially important when teaching grammar or vocabulary, because sometimes when we take a particular topic and we just present it to our students, and if we simply tell our students that they need to learn this topic because it's just what they have to do, yeah, will it bring positive results? Will the learning process be successful? I guess not, because our students will not understand why they need to learn this topic and how they will apply this knowledge in future. So you need to connect it with their real life, with their personal experience. You can come up with some topics, like you can address some topics and tell them how they can apply this information in future. Yeah, why they need to learn irregular verbs, because they will be able to talk about their past experiences and so on. And you can even create some real life examples to show them the importance and so on. So when students get to talk about what they like and what is interesting for them, they are more likely to be involved. And it brings us to the next benefit, which is motivation, and it is closely connected to increased engagement, because when our students see the value of the task, they feel more motivated, they feel excited, they feel interested in the task, and they are likely to participate in it. Yeah, so these 2 points are closely connected. And the third benefit of personalized learning is that it helps teachers to build rapport with students, because learners are more likely to trust those teachers who actually care, who show some interest in what learners are about to say. So let me give you an example. How do we usually start a lesson? We started with a small talk. Yeah, we ask our students about their well-being, how they are doing today. We ask them to share some news. And at this moment, it is really important to show students that you really care about their answers, that you really want to know what has changed. You really want to hear their news, not just because it is right to do so, not just because it is written in the plan that you need to start the lesson with greetings and ask your students how they've spent their day, but because you want to hear this information, you want them to share, you want to build this rapport with students. Yeah, you want to become closer. You can even ask some follow-up questions. You can ask for their opinion and so on. So it helps us to establish this positive atmosphere in class and to build rapport with our students. The next thing is that personalized learning is aimed at developing students' speaking skills, because all of the activities are designed in such a way that students need to speak and share something about themselves, yeah, whether it is their opinion or some information about themselves, or they need to talk about them memories from the childhood and so on. So they get to speak a lot and they share something about themselves. And of course, personalization ensures better learning outcomes, because it helps students to grasp new ideas and concepts more effectively, because all the tasks, all the activities are designed represented in a way that resonates with our students' learning style. So, for example, if your students are visual learners, you need to add more visual aids to your lesson. Yeah, you would present the topic with the help of flashcards. You would use more videos. Yeah, you would add some mind maps, yeah, some pictures and so on, to help your students understand the information better, to help your students achieve better outcomes. This is what personalization is about, and this is what our students can gain from personalized lessons. And speaking of how we can personalize our lessons, to be honest, we don't need to personalize every single activity or every single stage of the lesson. There is no need, but we can simply add some elements of personalization into the tasks or lesson stages. We can ask some personalized questions as for a follow-up, after the task, or we can give personalized feedback. So I'm gonna give you some tips on what you need to do to make your lessons more personalized, some general tips, and then we are going to move to the stages and how we can personalize different stages of the lesson. And I will introduce some examples. I will present some examples. So the first thing that we need to do is to collect information about our students. We need to learn their likes and dislikes, their preferences, their learning styles. Otherwise, how you will make your lessons more personalized if you know nothing about your students, right? So that's why we need to conduct needs analysis and create students' profiles. So this is something that we usually do at the first lessons of the course. We give our students some questionnaires or forms to fill, and they need to answer some questions about like the purpose of learning English, how they prefer to learn English, the topics that they like, and so on. Then you need to, based on the information that you have collected, you need to identify your students' learning style and choose the materials and resources accordingly. That is something that I've told you before about visual learners, and you need to use visual aids. You also need to remember the details, not only during the first lesson when you're conducting needs analysis, but throughout the whole semester, throughout the whole course. That's why my recommendation is to keep track of of your students' progress, or take some notes of the information that your students are about to tell you, because you can later use it and create activities with the details, with this information. So you can just take a notebook and write some details in the notebook about each student, about like their goals, their dreams, their likes and dislikes, and so on, about just some information that they usually tell you: their favorite dog, the name of their dog, what they want to study in future, and so on. It is also a good idea to customize tasks, to adapt the tasks, to modify them and adapt them to your students' needs and preferences. Add some information that the students might like, but don't change the whole task. Don't change the topic. You can simply add some information to meet to address your students' needs and interests. And of course, a good idea is to use some online tools and resources to provide personalized learning. And don't forget to monitor and provide feedback after each activity to let our students know that we are actually monitoring them, that we are paying attention, and to show them that they're making progress, to tell them what they need to work on, and so on. And let's move on to the lesson stages and tasks that we can personalize and what we can do at each stage of the lesson. So, our lesson usually starts with a warm-up or leading to a new topic, introduction of a new topic. So what we can do? We can come up with some questions and prompt students to share information about themselves. We can ask them personalized questions, or we can ask them to create true and false sentences about themselves, or how they can relate to different situations. We can ask them to express their opinion. The next stage is usually controlled practice or checking vocabulary, understanding of grammar, understanding. So when we talk about controlled practice, we can adapt some tasks to meet students' interest. Yeah. So, for example, if your students are keen on superheroes and the topic of the lesson is superlative and comparative adjectives, you can create a fill in the gap activity about superheroes, or you can ask students to compare different superheroes. When we talk about listening and reading activities, so there is we can either create personalized texts, but it would take us more time. And as I mentioned, you don't need to adapt and change the whole task. Yeah, you can simply add some elements of personalization. So if it's a listening task or a reading task, you can ask students to relate, if they can relate to the information provided in the audio or text. And you can ask them to tell you how they would act in a particular situation. Yeah. And the last stage of the lesson is usually production of real practice, and here we have a lot of things that we can do. So we can ask students to make projects on the topics they like, projects or presentations about themselves on the topics they like. We can adapt the productive tasks to meet the students' interests and needs. Yeah, so there is a lot to do. The production stage. So I'm going to show you some examples just to see, for you to see how it works. So let's start with a warm-up. Let's take a look. So that is a warm-up and it's a quiz. And as you can see, it is already personalized. So we don't actually need to change anything here. We don't need to adapt here, because in this task, our students need to choose what is true for them. So there is no correct option, only the one that is true for them. That is personalized enough. Next stage here is controlled practice, and as I told you, we can change it to meet students' interest. Yeah, we can make it more personalized. So the students, the topic of the lesson was places around the city. So they have learned the words, and now they need to practice. So a controlled practice task would be the task in which students need to write about the places that they usually visit, or the places that they visited yesterday, something like this. So in such way, we ask them to share their experience. We relate, they can relate to this topic. The learning process becomes more meaningful. As for post-listening or post-reading activity, yeah, as I told you, we can ask our students to share what they think. And if you look at task number 6, you can see that in this task, students need to express their opinion. They need to come up with some extra ideas of safe traveling based on the text they just read. And so they express their opinion. Okay, and let's look at the production task. So production task here is, so in this task, students need to write 1 false and true sentences about themselves. So they need to use target vocabulary, perhaps even target grammar, but they will be writing about themselves. It will be more interesting because they can share something with their peers, with their partners, and the learning process becomes more engaging. Okay. And I would like to share more examples with you. We will briefly analyze some tasks. So let's take a look at these questions here. Remember that our task is to make activities more personalized. So, which of the questions would you choose as a lead-in to the topic about languages? Which of these questions seem personalized enough? You can write the numbers in chat. Remember that we need to choose personalized questions, yeah? So, number one, number three, and number four are personalized, or not, sorry, not number four, number five are personalized questions, because when answering them, our students will have to express their opinion and talk about themselves, not just about the process of learning a language in general, but they will share their experience, express their opinion, and they will talk about themselves. Okay, so the next task here. So it's a controlled practice task, and here the students need to sort the words into categories. It doesn't seem personalized, does it? So what can we do? How can we personalize it? Can write your ideas in chat. So the students are ready with the task, they have checked it with the keys, and now you want to add more personalization. You can ask some questions and have your students share the answers in pairs. So such questions as, what appliances do you know how to use? What appliances do you have at home? So these are personalized questions. They require some personal information. Yeah. Okay. So let's take a look at these tasks. So this is a matching activity, because here the students need to match the words with some definitions or guess the words based on the definitions. It's not a personalized task. What can we do? How can we personalize it? So we can ask some questions as feedback, yeah, and add some personalization to this question. So, for example, one of the words in this task was pajamas. So you can ask your students, who's got some cool pajamas? Can you show it? Can you describe it? And so on. How often do you go camping? Do you like to sleep in a tent or in a house, and so on? And as for the listening task here, the answer is pretty obvious. We can ask students for their opinion. So this is how it works. And I would also like to address your attention to personalized speaking, because as I mentioned, it is one of the most important parts, one of the most important parts of the lesson, and personalized learning develops speaking skills. So how can we make personalized activities? So, firstly, we need to set up a speaking activity. It means that we need to think about what we can do before the activity, while during the activity, and after the activity. So, the first step that we need to do is to anticipate the challenges that our students might face while completing this task, while speaking. Yeah, so one of the challenges might be is that the topic might be too sensitive, or our students won't have enough background. They won't have enough knowledge to speak up on this topic. Yes, they will lack confidence, or it is when you have mixed ability. Plus, speaking activities become rather a challenge because you need to pair up students in a proper way so that everyone feels confident enough and everyone has a chance to speak. So you need to anticipate these challenges and think about the solutions to these challenges. You might also provide some input. So if you want a speaking task to be successful, and if you want your students to talk about themselves, you need to provide some input. Firstly, you provide example, and then you provide some functional language or useful phrases that your students might use during the speaking activity. And of course, you give clear instructions. During the activity, you need to model, you need to provide some visual aids. It is also a good idea to introduce peer feedback and teach learners to listen to each other carefully, remember the information, and then be ready to report back to the teacher. And of course, encourage learners to share what they've learned about their classmates. And what can we do after speaking activity? We need to provide feedback on content, feedback on accuracy, which is working on the mistakes, addressing the most crucial mistakes, analyzing them, and providing students with correct answers. And of course, it's important to praise and reflect. So I'm going to show you an example of one speaking activity. This activity was designed for students of 4th, 5th grade. So let's take a look. So in this task, students need to choose the sport that they like, and they need to talk about it. They need to create a presentation, they might add some pictures, they need to explain if it's a sport is usual or unusual, and they need to say why they like doing it. And then they need to mingle and ask everyone for their opinion. They need to learn information about everyone in the class and find someone with the same opinion. Yeah, find someone who's got who likes the same sport as they do. So they talk about themselves, they listen carefully to their partners, and then they share the results of their discussion to everyone. So this is just an example of a speaking activity. You can come up with different types. Yeah, so this is what personalization is about. And as I mentioned at the beginning of the lesson, we also need to make sure that our students have this motivation to learn, because no matter how personalized your tasks are and what you do to attract your students' attention, but if they're not motivated enough, they will not study, they will not participate. So motivation, it is the process that initiates, guides, and maintains goal-oriented behaviors. And when we talk about the role of motivation, we can say that it helps our students to take action, it helps our students to speak up and share information with others, and when our students are motivated, they might even feel happier because they feel confident enough, they know the answers to the tasks, and they can speak and share what they think. So, but we need to consider that there are several several factors that influence student motivation. So let's take a look at these factors. You can see them on my screen. So it's relevance. By relevance, we mean that our students understand the usefulness of the task, the activities match their needs and interests. They can apply this knowledge later in future. This task is somehow correlates with their previous experience, and the task or the topic is new, it's interesting, and the students have something to say about this topic. The next factor is confidence, and it means that our students feel confident enough to express themselves, to complete the task. It means that the learning requirements are met, and students are aware of the expectations, and the tasks are challenging enough, but not completely difficult. Yeah, so we choose a particular level of difficulty. We make the tasks challenging for students to complete, but not difficult. So they feel confident enough to complete these tasks. The next factor is satisfaction, and it refers to the scheduling, to the timetable of the lesson, to the order of the tasks. It refers to the to positive outcomes that our students might achieve. It refers to rewards that our students might get. It also depends on natural consequences, on natural like something that might happen that we cannot change, that doesn't depend on us. And it also depends on the experience, on our experience, whether it is positive experience or negative experience. And the last factor that affects student motivation is attention. That is when our students' attention is drawn to the task. Our students are involved and they actually pay attention to what is going on. It depends on the like sense of humor of students, sense of humor of the teacher. It depends on the tasks, how different they are, if there is some diversity, yeah, in the tasks. It depends on different interaction patterns. It depends on some sense of it depends on surprise or problem solving moment. So we're going to look at each of these factors in details, and we will and I will share what you can do to motivate students addressing each of these factors. So let's start with attention. So there are three different ways how we can capture our attention. It can be perceptual arousal. That is when we capture our students' attention by using the element of surprise. That is when we ask our students to think out of the box. We provide them with some problem-solving elements. The next one is inquiry arousal. We ask the students questions and we stimulate their curiosity. And the third way is variability. That is when we offer a range of tasks, different activities, different resources to accommodate various student needs and interests. So we bring variety to our lesson. We use different games, different types of tasks, different even interaction patterns. So, and here are some other tips. So, to catch our students' attention, you might tell the stories about real people. You can share the stories and ask students to brainstorm what they think. It will catch their attention. It will be more interesting than when you give them to read text about some unreal people, someone who you made up. Yeah. It is also a good idea to involve students in the context of a story, to ask them to brainstorm the ending of the story, or to express their opinion or how they would act in this or that situation. You should also keep the eye contact and try to be as enthusiastic as possible. Try to smile, try to be positive to attract students' attention. Also try to be patient. You should understand that they're students. Try to explain everything in a calm way. If you want to catch students' attention, you can use different hooks. These are some problematic questions that require students to some effort to answer. You can introduce problem-solving elements and change your tone and speed of voice. As for relevance, as I mentioned, when we talk about relevance, we need to make sure that our learners view the experiences as meaningful and relevant. So what we can do? We need to set clear goals. In such way, we will help them achieve these goals if we outline these goals at the beginning of the lesson. Yeah, we need to clarify why the students are learning, what they will achieve by the end of the course, and so on. It is also important that learning goals match with the motives of our students. So, for example, the learning goal of a student is to learn business English, yeah, but you're teaching general English, or you're teaching academic writing to them. So it means that the goals do not match the motives of students. You need to make sure that they match. So the next thing is that when you present the information to students, or you teach something, you need to make sure that the students can relate to this information. Yeah, they have something to. Firstly, they need to have enough knowledge. They need to have some background, and they can relate to this topic. That is when you have students of I don't know, of fifth grade, and you ask them to talk about startups. Will they say anything? Will they speculate on this topic? I doubt it, because they don't have any background. They hardly know what a startup is, and they never read any information about it. Yeah, and they cannot relate to this topic. Okay, let's move on to confidence. So confidence means that our students believe in themselves. They believe that they can accomplish their goals, and that they feel confident enough in their ability for success. So what can we do? We need to make sure that goals and criteria are clearly outlined and our students know what to expect. That's something that I mentioned before. Again, we need to make sure that the tasks are challenging enough, but there is an opportunity for them to be successful. There is a chance for them to complete this task. And of course, we need to acknowledge the link between success in class and the effort that our students put. Yeah, so we need to praise them for their efforts. And here are some other recommendations. So to boost our students' confidence, firstly, we need to start with icebreakers. At our first lessons, Icebreakers allow our students to get acquainted with each other, and they allow them to feel comfortable in a new group, especially if it's just one student who joins a new group. So the icebreaker is important. Or if you have one-to-one classes, it is also important to conduct icebreakers and to break the ice between a teacher and a learner. So it's an excellent idea to create a roadmap. So roadmap shows in which direction the students need to move to achieve their goal and what they can expect. Yeah. So some milestones that they will achieve at the end of each lesson, for example. It is also important to explain rules and requirements clearly for students to feel confident enough in class. You need to provide enough time for students to answer. Don't rush them to answer. Give them some time to brainstorm, to think. In such way, you will boost their confidence. Praise them for their behavior. And if you have some stronger students in class, you can give them provide them with opportunities to be teachers and help others. Yeah, you can involve them into the peer checking process. Remember to provide regular constructive feedback, praise your students, and encourage them to reflect. And moving on to satisfaction. So our students will be more motivated to learn if they're satisfied with the outcome. So to boost our students' satisfaction, we need to make sure that the learning journey is enjoyed, that our students enjoy studying, they like the lessons, they're satisfied with the material. It's also important to provide constructive feedback and positive comments. So praise is a must. If you want your students to be satisfied, they need to be, they need to feel praised. They need to receive enough attention from a teacher, and they need to know that they're doing well or they're moving in the right direction, or they what they can do to improve to achieve better results. Mm-hmm. And we need to make sure that standards and criteria are constantly enforced. So you need to include it into your lessons. So let's look at some recommendations on how we can boost our student satisfaction. So you can let your students demonstrate results. So encourage them to share, to demonstrate that the tasks, the project that they have created, provide some verbal support and positive comments, encourage former students to assist the new ones, to help them. So if you have, for example, students who have been in this group for some time and then they're new students, you may ask the old ones to help these newcomers, or you can ask stronger students to help weak students. Try to provide some games. It's a great idea to spark students' interest and make them more engaged. Try to develop an award system or a motivation system. It can be some like certificates that you give students at the end of the course, or presents, or students get to choose the topic of the lesson. They get to choose the movie for the final lesson, for example. They get to choose something, yeah, like the task, the game. Okay. What's more is that when you give controlled practice tasks and there are some tasks that develop skills like listening and reading tasks, they need to correspond to the learning content, to the topic of the lesson. So you cannot give students a video to watch about the topic that you haven't discussed. It will only discourage them. Yeah, so it's better to find something that corresponds to the topic of the lesson or to the content that you're currently learning. Uh, there should be clear system of assessment, so everyone should know how they can gain the points or how they are assessed, and it should be equal. Yeah, everyone is equal and everyone gets what they deserve for their efforts, for how they learn, not for their like personal qualities. And of course, we need to teach students to accept each other and to respect each other. In such way, everyone will be satisfied and confident enough to learn. And of course, we need to take into account that when we work with different age groups, our motivation strategies and methods might differ depending on the age of students. So I'm going to talk about young learners and teens and how they differ, how their learning requirements differ, and what we can do to motivate these age groups. So let's start with young learners. So kids usually have no understanding of why they're learning this. Yeah, they do it because their parents told them so because uh, uh, his or her mom pays for the lesson, so he comes to this lesson every Friday and he does the tasks that teacher tells him to do, but they have no understanding why they need to do it. Yeah, they don't see any purpose for now because they're too young. Young learners usually they prefer studying in a more fun, interactive way, in a way of playing. That is why it is necessary to use TPR, total physical approach, during the lessons with young learners. It is important to make the lessons active and fun. And of course, we need to understand that young learners learn slowly. It takes more time for them to complete the task, and they forget the words or the concepts quickly. So we need to recycle the information, the vocabulary. We need to revise everything all the time. Kids need more attention than teenagers. They need more assistance, and young learners need to work with different senses. So they need to touch, they need to see, they need to repeat, they need to write. In such way, they learn better, they learn faster. As for teenagers, just a second. As for teenagers have an understanding of why they are learning English or any other language. So they are motivated enough because they know that they learn to pass an exam, to improve grades, to watch films in English. Yeah, there might be different reasons. Yes, of course, there are those teenagers who still have no understanding why they're doing this. Perhaps their parents told them so, and they're doing it because they're being forced. Yeah, but in general, teenagers are more conscious and they know why they need English. and they have some experience, they have some learning skills, they have already practiced something, they are more disciplined, they are more independent and organized, and they can figure out things on their own. So based on these descriptions, I suggest that we look at some ideas on how we can motivate young learners and how we can motivate teenagers. So as for young learners, it's important we need to understand that young learners have a very short attention span. That's why it's important to vary types of activities from 5 to 10 minutes. So you need to bring variety. So firstly they are doing imagine activity, then they are doing a reading activity, then they are listening, then they are writing, then they are moving. And of course, it's important to have this balance between storing and settling activities, because it's really difficult for young learners to sit on one place for more than an hour. Yeah, so they're usually hyperactive. They need to move, they need to touch. It's really difficult to be focused for 60 minutes. So we need to come up with activities that are storing and activities that are settling, the ones that calm them down. Try to use games and songs and different attention grabbers to get your students' attention. And of course, try to use some praising techniques. Try to provide individual work and group work, and establish a reward system. You can give some stickers, or you can give some points, or again some comments, and so on. As for teenagers, since our teenagers are more organized and more independent, we need to encourage this independence and give them an opportunity to think out of the box, to develop their creativity, create different tasks that require them to use their critical thinking, that requires them to be creative. Encourage peer work and teach them how to work in groups, that they need to cooperate with each other and respect each other, because it is one of the skills that they will need when they grow up, when they graduate from school, enter university, and then get a job. They need to know how to cooperate. So this is something that we need to teach. Provide a chance to make a choice. Gives them this opportunity to choose a topic they want to talk about, to choose the game, and so on. And you can use mood chart. Well, actually, this tip about mood chart, it works perfectly well with all the age groups, with young learners, with teenagers, with adults, because everyone likes them. They're cool, they're cute, it's fun to work with mood charts. And you can even ask your students to create their own mood charts. So if you look at this picture, you might see that this is a mood chart of a dog created by one of my students. He was so inspired by one of the mood charts that I used in class. So he asked whether he could do that. And I just said, of course you can. So the next lesson, he showed his mood chart and we used it in class. So it was cool and interesting. So, my dear colleagues, that is all I wanted to present to you. I want you to know that in order to make your lessons more personalized and to boost students' motivation, you need to learn something about them. You need to pay attention to their learning styles, to their interests and needs, and take it into consideration, and then adapt your lessons according to the information that you have collected. So, since our webinar is about to end, I have created one final task. It's a reflective task. So I want you to read the information on my screen and write in chat what's true for you. You can simply write a number and true or false. Letter T if it's true, letter F if it's false for you. So I will just read this information for you to have some better understanding, yeah? So after this webinar, I can understand the importance of personalization and know how to use it at any stage of the lesson. So, is it true for you? Write in chat. Okay, so number 2, after this webinar, I can set up a personalized speaking activity, including before task, during task, and after task steps. I know the factors that influence students' attention and the actions I can take in each situation. Number 4, I have enough knowledge on the topic to motivate young learners and teens, and I'm going to apply the knowledge during the lessons with my students. Good. I can see your answers in chat. Thank you. Thank you for your responses. It was lovely to work with you today. So I hope that this webinar was useful and you've learned something new, or at least you've refreshed your knowledge. So that's it for today. Don't forget to complete the test if you wish to get a certificate. And have a nice day.